Good day, children. Today we are going to begin with the properties of alkynes. Now, when we talk about properties, we talk of both physical as well as chemical properties. Alkynes in general, and you already know that we always discuss the first member, which, as I told you last time, is popularly called acetylene. IUPAC name is ethyne. Okay. Now, so under physical properties, first of all, ethyne is gaseous in nature. It is gas, and it is lighter than air. Then it is colorless, doesn't have any color, and I told you it has a garlic odor, garlic-like odor. And it is very slightly soluble in water. You all know it is a covalent compound, so they don't get dissolved in water. So this is slightly soluble in water, but it is soluble in organic solvents. Organic solvents like ether, like alcohol, like toluene, benzene, acetone, etc. Okay, we don't have to worry about the melting point and the boiling point. Straight away coming to the chemical properties. Now, just like alkenes, alkynes also show a property which is very characteristic of them, which is known as addition property. Now, as I told you, that addition means what we already have continues to be with us, and something new comes and attaches itself to what is already existing. This is called addition. Now here, please look at this very carefully. If you will understand one reaction, you will understand them all. I am going to talk about hydrogenation. You have already done this in alkenes, but this one is slightly different because it occurs in two stages. Now, hydrogenation means addition of hydrogen. We begin from acetylene, triple bond. This one will have one hydrogen. This is ethyne molecule. So when you add hydrogen to it, same conditions, it will require either nickel or palladium or platinum, same temperature, 300 degrees Celsius. What will happen that now these are the two weak bonds. Now in the first step, the molecule will retain two bonds and one of the weak bond will break. Now if this bond has broken down, one electron is left free with both the carbon atoms. Now these two hydrogen atoms, they will attach themselves one each to the carbon atom, and they will make a molecule called ethene. Now ethene is also an unsaturated hydrocarbon, so the reaction doesn't stop here. More hydrogen is added to it, again in the presence of nickel and at a temperature of 300 degrees, and the other weak bond also breaks now. So this molecule, see, was already existing. This molecule was already there. Now this new thing will come and add itself to what is already existing. So one hydrogen will attach here and one hydrogen will attach here. So now we have only a single bond between the carbon atoms, and the molecule is called ethane. So when you have to convert ethyne to ethane, the process will be hydrogenation or addition of hydrogen. To ethylene, to ethyne, we have added hydrogen. One of the weak bond has broken down and only we are left with two bonds. The entire molecule remains as such, only new hydrogen atoms attach themselves. That is why you are calling it addition reaction, because this molecule is still unsaturated. More hydrogen attaches, same catalyst temperature, and it forms a single bonded compound which is called ethene. So everything is the same, only the reaction proceeds in two steps. Now similarly, halogenation. Halogenation means the addition of a halogen. Now we will begin with, say, chlorine. We have this molecule look at the molecule very carefully. This is ethyne. Two carbon atoms, triple bond, ethyne molecule. So say when chlorine adds to it. When chlorine adds to it, the process is called chlorination. Now again, in the presence of inert solvent, carbon tetrachloride. Now what will happen? Out of the three bonds, only two bonds will be left. One bond will break. So you write down the entire molecule as such. You write CH. In place of a triple bond, you place a double bond. Again write CH. Because one bond has broken, both the carbon atoms have one electron available. So these two atoms of chlorine, they attach themselves to the carbon atom. And the molecule now becomes 1,2-dichloro. You will call it ethene. Eth because two carbon atoms and ene because of the double bond. This compound is also unsaturated because of the presence of double bond, so the reaction continues further. Again in the presence of CCl4, this one you will write this whole molecule as such. You write down CH, chlorine attached over here, single bond, CH, another chlorine attached over here. So we have rewritten the entire molecule like this. Only in place of a double bond, we have placed a single bond. Because the bond has broken, the carbon atoms again have the availability of electrons. So the two new chlorine atoms attach themselves over here. The molecule is now called 1,1. Why are we writing 1 2 times? Because with this carbon atom number 1, there are two attachments, one here and one here. And with carbon atom number 2, again we have two attachments. So you will write 2 also 2 times. 1 1 2 2. At position number 1, there are two attachments. At position number 2 of carbon atom, there are two attachments. All the attachments happen to be chlorine. So you call it tetrachloro. Tetra meaning 4. Tetrachloro. And the parent molecule is eth because of the two carbon atoms. And single bond, so ane. 1122 tetrachloroethane. So this was the reaction with chlorine. The process is called chlorination. Then we have bromination. Bromination. Addition of bromine. Similarly, you will take the molecule of ethyne. You will add bromine to it, which happens to be reddish brown in color. In the presence of CCl4, you will write the entire molecule like this, CH. Instead of a triple bond, you put a double bond. And now bromine will attach here. Another bromine will attach here. This one will be called 1,2-dibromoethene. The reaction will continue further because the molecule is still unsaturated. Again in the presence of CCl4, you write the entire molecule like this. This was the previous molecule. Instead of a double bond, you put a single bond. Both the carbon atoms have an available electron. Bromine comes and attaches over here. So this one is called 1122 tetra bromoethane. Now this reddish brown color of bromine is discharged, or it is decolorized. Decolorized means the solution which is finally formed is colorless. So what do you observe when bromine water is passed through ethyne? You say the reddish brown color of bromine water is decolorized, or the color is discharged. Discharged, or you can also say that it becomes colorless. Now when you are saying this is an important question for observation. What do you observe when ethyne is passed through bromine water? It can be observation. It is also used as a test for unsaturation. So whether it is alkene or alkyne, the reddish brown color of bromine will always be discharged. Now how will we then distinguish between alkene and alkyne? Anyway, we will come to that later. Now similarly, iodination. Again, as I told you last time, this reaction is relatively difficult. And there is one thing to remember, that when iodine is reacting with ethyne, or it stops at the first stage only. It forms CH double bond CH, and two iodine atoms attach themselves to the carbon atoms. The molecule is 1,2-diiodoethene. The reaction doesn't go further. Okay, the reaction just comes to a stop here. So, and that's it. The third stage will not be there. So, this iodine happens to be violet in color. This is also decolorized. Chlorine also happens to be greenish yellow in color, and that is also discharged. Okay, so this was regarding the properties of alkynes. Now, there are other properties also given in the book. As I told you about alkenes, they are not to be done according to the reduced syllabus. So, these are the only properties you are going to do. And combustion, of course, all hydrocarbons burn, and this ethyne will also burn in the presence of oxygen, and it will form same product CO2 and H2O. And you have to remember that it burns with a sooty flame. Sooty means which has some unburnt carbon particles present in it. So ethyne will always burn with a sooty flame. So then the last part is, what are the uses of acetylene? The first most important uses, it is used in oxyacetylene torch. Oxyacetylene torch. That means when acetylene burns in the in the presence of oxygen, it generates a temperature of 3500 degrees Celsius. So which is good enough for cutting or welding of metals. So this is very important. Then it is also used in the ripening of raw fruits, ripening of green fruits or raw fruits. You must have heard many times that this fruit is not naturally ripe. It has been kept in calcium carbide and then it has been prepared. So calcium carbide, you know, is used to prepare acetylene. So it is used for the ripening of the ripening as well as the preservation also. It is also used as a preservative of raw fruits. Okay. Then of course it is used for manufacturing of large number of organic compounds. Manufacturing of organic compounds. Now these organic compounds may be acetic acid, it may be, you must have heard the name of PVC, polyvinyl chloride. So polyvinyl chloride or polyvinyl acetate, vinegar, acetaldehyde, acetylene dichloride, ethyl alcohol. So it is used for making drugs. Drugs means medicines, antiseptics. Then it is also used for making dyes and detergents. All these things are made out of these. Then it also produces a number of synthetic products. I told you last time that synthetic products means anything which is man-made, which is not natural, is known as a synthetic, man-made. Okay, so there are a number of polymers which are produced out of acetylene, like synthetic rubber and fibers, and I already told you about PVC. All these are the products which we obtain from acetylene. Alright children, that is all out of acetylene. Have a good day. Bye bye.